Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I know I'm a minute early here, so we'll wait and see who's jumping on. It's been a bit since I've been live here on Facebook. I did a live a couple of weeks ago on YouTube because Facebook wouldn't let me go live. And then I got so sick that I've been down and out. Feeling better? We're going to see how this goes. And let's go ahead and see if anyone's jumping on. Let's see if I can get the feed up here. There it is. And there we go. Hello, Laura. So happy to have you here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Oh my. I hope everybody's had a good, healthy couple of weeks and that everyone had a good Mother's Day. I know Lynette's not doing so great. She got a big bad burn. So we'll give prayers for her, my friend. And wait just another minute or two. See who's jumping on. We're going to be using Country Flowers tonight. This is in the annual catalog. Excuse me, I'm going to have some coughs because coughing irritates, or talking irritates the back of my throat, which is still a little on the swollen side. So I'm going to apologize in advance for the coughing. I've got water right here, and I'm going to try to keep my voice going. So I'll probably be clearing my throat and coughing a little bit, but let's see how that goes. Okay, so the Country Flowers you will find in the Country Wood Suite collection, and that's on page 50 or 48, nope, 50 to 51, where you'll find those. So that's right here. So we can show you the catalog now. All right, and I want to call your attention to the Keeping Tabs bundle here. And I'll show you that I used that bundle to tab out my catalog for easy finding of things. So I've done that. I did 3 rows of 5, and then the last set, it has 6, so it has an index in it. All right, so I'm going to show you that. I also want to call attention to one other product. We're not actually using this tonight, but I did want you not to miss this, because when you see this in the catalog, you don't really get to see exactly what it looks like. So I wanted you to take a look at those designs that are actually in there. This is called the Dashing Designs 3D Embossing Folder. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting geometric shapes. And so this is what that looks like when you emboss that. Hopefully you can see those geometric shapes. Okay, so I just wanted to call that to your attention in case you missed that one in the catalog. Excuse me. Hello, Cynthia. Thanks so much for joining. Hi, Tracy. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Hello, Lynette. I felt well enough today that I got into the studio and purged some stamp and die bundles for a sale, and put all of my others that I had sitting from the annual catalog retirement on my shelves, the ones that I want to keep in my collection at least for a while. So that was a big chore today, and I managed to get that done and feel pretty good. So let's see how this goes. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is the Country Flowers. You'll find it on page 50 and 51. It's part of the Country Woods Suite collection. And we're going to be using that. So let's jump right in. I also want to bring to your attention the Wonderful Thoughts stamp set. Although the Country Flowers has some really nice sentiments, I'm pulling in the Wonderful Thoughts, and I love this stamp set and these dies that coordinate because they cut out individually each of these words. So you just have to find the right die, and they will cut them out for you as if you hand cut them. So we're going to be doing that tonight. So let's move on and get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the stamping. And I'm actually going to bring in my mini Misty here. And I'm going to stamp all my images at once for both cards. So I'm going to take a piece of a quarter sheet of cardstock. That's 4 by 5 1/4 of the basic white. And I've got these on my block or on my tool here so that they're spaced far enough apart that I can still get the dies in there to cut them all in one pass with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to stamp these in Pebbled Path on the basic white. And you could do this if you just have the big block or with a couple of blocks, put a couple of things on and get it done more efficiently. But I've got this tool, so I'm just going to use it. If you got your Stamparatus, be sure to pull that out. That'll work great. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a second inking just so that I can have that a little darker. I didn't want the starkness of the memento, so I'm going to use the Pebbled Path. I'll still get a nice deep rich color, but not quite so stark black. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go ahead and wipe this off just to keep my little mat here clean. Just do that with a chamois. And then we'll set this aside. Okay. And we can put our ink aside for the moment. So for this card, we're going to be using the teapot, these flowers, and the stool. So we're going to do a little bit of coloring. I'm not going to color everything because I have already colored and cut it to save us some time. But I did want to show you a little bit of how I did what I did. So I'm going to start with the dark crumb cake. And I'm going to come in here and go just below the stool here. And then I'm going to come down here on the legs just to give that a little shadow where the light wouldn't reach so much. And I'm just giving a little hash marks here just to bring that in. Okay, and then I'm going to go back with my light crumb cake. Not that end, I want the bullet tip. And then I'm going to take that light color up into the dark. And then blend those two together. Okay, and we're going to repeat that. Little circular motions just to bring those together. You want to start on the dark and work your way in. If you work your way out, then your colors will bleed out. So I tend to work toward the inside and pull down. in this instance and up in this instance, so that the two will meet. And then those will continue to blend as they dry. Okay, so then for the chair, to make it look round, I took my dark crumb cake again. And with this one, excuse me, hello, Mr. Cruz. I'm going to take my brush tip and I'm going to bring in a little bit of the dark here and then just a little bit at the top here. Okay, doesn't need to be perfect. And then we're going to go back in. My tip on this one's not very good on the brush, so we're going to use the bullet. And again, I'm going to pull that color going in on the dark and pulling toward the center. Okay, and up into the dark again and pull it in. Okay, so there's our stool. Not too difficult. Let's go on to our little teapot here. And we're doing that in light and dark boho blue. So again, I'm starting with the dark in this case. Put a little bit of dark in the spout and a little bit of dark in the artist lines there, and then where they join together. Excuse me. And then I'm going to put a little bit of dark at the bottom here. And at the handle there, and there, and then just a little bit of that curve. Okay, and then we're going to go back with the light. And we're just going to blend those together. And remember, I'm pulling away up into. I'm going to do the same here on the start. Bring that in and then finish lightly in the center so that I get a light. Now there is a stamp in this set that you can finish off the edge of that teapot, and that is right here. So you can put that on a block and then stamp the top. But because I'm putting something in the pot, that's not going to show anyway, so there's no point in me wasting that energy to line that up. It wouldn't show anyway, so. And I'm just going to go, need a little bit of dark here. And just go along the edge here. And then I'm going to bring my dark in this way. Some little hash lines. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here with this dark. And then I'm going to bring the boho blue, and this actually has a really good tip because it's a new marker. So I'm going to take my brush tip and I'm just going to take some hash marks here and bring those together to blend them. And I'm just going to keep going over that until I have the look I'm looking for and no harsh lines. And finally I'll finish that. Some light strokes in the center. And then we'll finish the handle. Just blending the light and dark together. Okay, and then On this one, then, we're going to take this. We're going to bring this down, and we're going to bring in Night of Navy. And I'm going to take the small decorative stamp from that set, and I'm going to put that right in the middle of my teapot for just a little bit of decoration. Okay. All right, so the last part then that we need is the flowers. And again, with these flowers, what I've done is I've used the light and dark pretty in pink. This is a brand new in color introduced at the beginning of the month. I'm going to start with the light in this case. And I'm only going to do one of these. And I'm just going to fill this all in. Okay. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for where the petals overlap. Of course, that's in the center, where there would be a shadow. Now, if you don't know where there'd be a shadow, just throw some dark in there. Okay. And you would do that with all three of those. And then I'm going to use dark petaled pink for these little things. And all I'm doing is basically just giving them a little splash of color. I'm not really coloring, I'm just dotting because they're oh so small and the blends will bleed. So you just want to give them just a tiny bit of color and do that with all of them. And then for the leaves, I'm taking light old olive and light granny apple green. I'm going to start with my light old olive. And I'm going to work away from the flowers. Okay. I'm going to fill that in. Just like so. With all of those leaves. And then I'm going to go back with my light granny apple green. I'm going to take the brush tip. And I'm just going to give a little bit, just a flick here and there. Okay. And I'm doing it up toward the point of the leaf. Okay, and so then you're ready to cut these 3 images out for our card. And through the magic of my video here and prep work, here are our pieces. Okay, so let's go ahead and move these out of the way. And we're ready to start assembling our card, I think. We do need to stamp our sentiment. Okay, so we've got that. And I added Wink of Stella to my roses, just to give them a little touch. So our card base is Smoky Slate. Okay. Yep, Smoky Slate. Wanted to double check. Okay, so it's a 5.5 by 8.5 scored in the middle at 4 1/4. I've taken a piece of petal pink and I've run it through, this is 4 by 5 1/4, and I've run it through the Timber 3D embossing folder to give it some texture. Okay. And then we've got a deckled rectangle out of Smoky Slate. And this is the second largest, I believe. Yes, the second largest deckled rectangle. And then from the Country Woods Designer Series paper, I've cut the third, not fourth, third, the third largest decal rectangle for that. Okay. Now I like to, on these, look to see. You can look and they will line up. So like there's a little divot here and a little divot here. So I know that if I layer these just like this, it's going to line up fairly well. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this Country Woods Designer Series paper. It's new to the annual catalog, so you may or may not have seen it. So we've got this pattern, the pattern that we're using, which is this one. And then on the back of that is this dark wood pattern. And we've got this sheet and a pool party peeling paint on the back of that one. And then this one is a Night of Navy or Misty Moonlight, I'm not sure which. Peeling paint, this is my favorite piece. And then we've got this couple more wood here. I love this Country Woods. It's useful for any occasion. Okay, and then you've got some petal pink there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this out of the way now that you've seen it. And we'll put that away. And we're going to go ahead and start assembling. So we're going to start by adding our petal pink to our card base. And I'm going to do that with liquid glue. This is a 3D embossing folder, and I want it to stick. So that glue is going to get into those nooks and crannies. And it'll make it, you want to make sure that you get pretty close to the edge on when you're doing these 3D embossing folders like this so that your card stock lays pretty flat. Then I like to take and flip mine over and spread that glue out with my bone folder. Okay, so this is now ready. And next we're going to take and adhere these two together. And I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal for this. Okay, so we've got those layers. And then we're going to take some of the new iridescent striped trim. This is a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take a small piece of this. And I'm going to trim this off. And then I'm going to attach it pretty close here at the bottom. I need just enough for it to wrap around. It's sticking to my fingers. Being difficult here. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to take some tear and tape. I'm not done with that quite yet. I'm going to flip this. Put a little bit of tear and tape along the edge here. And here. Peel this back enough. Now, if you have Scotch tape, you could do that, and it would be fine. I have my adhesive here, and it's handy, so I'm going to do this. And then I'm just going to stick that in. And we'll bring this around and make sure that's where I want it. And that it's straight. I think I'm going to lift this side a bit. want to go just a bit higher than I was to start. Okay, so now we've got that on. Okay, so now that I've added that, I can go ahead and add this to my card base. And I'm going to go ahead and add another piece of tear and tape over my ribbon just to make it a sandwich there of adhesive so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. And then I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to adhere this down. And I'm a little close there to the edge, so I'll just use my tip to move that back inside. Okay. And then we'll add this to our card front. Just like so. Okay. Now I'm going to take a glue dot or two. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. And I want this to bunch up over here. So I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to stick that together so it looks kind of like I'm about to tie on there. It's kind of like a faux tie look. And I'll just use those glue dots to scrunch that together like so. And then I'm going to take and make a bow on my bow jig. This uses just a little bit less ribbon and I like the look of the bow better. So let's go ahead and tie this up and let that end not get away from me. I'm trying to be very conservative on my ribbon. Okay, so we'll give that a press. And then we'll trim that off, trim that off, pull that up, and then we're going to add this little bow to our card. And I'm going to go ahead and add an extra glue dot right on top here. And then put my bow on like that. Okay, then I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and I'm going to give that a really good press so that that really sticks into those glue dots and doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so far we've got that. Now let's go ahead and get our pieces. Going to bring out our stool here. I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. So I'm going to put one, actually I want to put this near the top. Top, and then I'm going to grab a couple of minis. And I'm going to put them down here on the legs. I'd really rather straddle the ribbon than put this right down on the ribbon. So we're going to add this right here in the middle, kind of like that. Then we're going to add our teapot. So for this, excuse me, we're going to take a dimensional there. I'm going to take a mini dimensional here. And then I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal right along the very bottom. Okay. And I'll set this on top of our stool. And that will keep everything even. And then we're going to do the same thing with our flowers. I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the bottom. I'm going to bring in my sticky mat here. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to add a couple of dimensionals. And stick that right here. Now you know what I mean by I didn't need to put the top on my teapot because you're not going to see it. Okay, so I put a little bit of Wink of Stella on those roses. And the last thing for this then is our sentiment. So let's go ahead and get our sentiment. I'm going to show you a trick. We're going to use gray granite or smoky slate. And I'm going to grab my Stamparatus here. Okay. And my Stampin' Stick mat, because I don't want this to move. And then I'm going to get a piece of basic white. I don't need a large piece, just enough for my sentiment. I'm just going to stick this right here. Okay, I'm going to take my smoky slate ink. And the sentiment, you can do amazing things. Oh, silly me. I don't want to do that. Let me clean that off. I want to put this down here because it'll just be a lot better. Okay, so we're just going to do that. Doesn't matter if it's straight because we're going to cut this out. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we're going to ink this up. I'm going to stamp it down. And I'm going to ink it again. And stamping it down. Now I've got a nice deep smoky slate. I'm going to clean that off with my chamois. I'm going to put away my smoky slate. Then I'm going to bring in my Versamark ink. I'm going to ink this up in Versamark. And I'm going to put that down. Okay. Clean that off. Then I'm going to peel this off my Stampin' Stick mat. And I'm going to set this to the side. And I'm going to bring in my embossing toolkit. Oops. And I didn't use my embossing buddy, so I'm going to hope nothing sticks. We're going to use clear embossing powder. I would recommend that you use the embossing buddy before you start, but it is clear and you won't see a bunch, even if it does. So it's not like white or black. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's go ahead and put this out of the way. Grab our tools here. We're going to heat emboss this. Okay. Okay, and that looks done. Okay, so now we have a heat embossed saying in Smoky Slate. I hope you, if you haven't used that trick for a while, that you consider using it again. And if it's new to you, then you've learned a new tool, a new technique. Okay, let's find the You Can Do Amazing Things. Is that going to be? Nope. Let's see. I should have probably looked. I don't think it's this one. This one. I'm usually pretty good at finding these pretty quickly. Yep, there we go. So we've got that. Now let's bring in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we'll use a little piece of Post-it tape. Oops, sorry. I bumped the camera. Got too much stuff sitting on my desk already. It just goes so fast, the mess. Okay. So let's turn that. Let's get this all arranged on here. And these fit really tight to the words when you do them. So let's go ahead and do that. Put that on our sandwich, which is plate 1 and 2 plate 2s with the cardstock and die in between the number 2s. Okay. And there is our sentiment all ready to go. Okay. So I really like how those cut out. If you haven't purchased that Stampin' Die set, you're really missing out. Okay, so let's go ahead now and we'll add this to our card. And I'm just going to do this flat. So I'm going to bring back in that silicone mat and my Stampin' Seal. And we're going to add this right here. You can do amazing things. All right. So for the inside of my card here, I've already got that done and ready. I took 2 other images from that stamp set and I stamped one on the insert, which is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Then I stamped and die cut the other image. And we're just going to add this to the inside of our card. And there you have card number 1. Okay. And an envelope to match. There you have it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up here quickly while you get a look at that, and then we'll get started on our next card. All right, let's get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to need this again, so we're not going to get it too far out of the way. But we are going to take that. I won't need that one next time. Okay, let's get that. This. Guys, you would not believe how big the mess is. It is so big. Okay, I think we're ready for card number 2. Let's go ahead and get started with that one. We're going to do a bit of a fun fold on this card. So let's go ahead and bring in, we're going to use the Timber 3D embossing folder on this card as well. Okay, Oh, I forgot to add the gems to that last card. I'll have to do that. We've got the purple fine shimmer gems for this one. Iridescent pearls, I believe, were supposed to go on the last one. Okay, and then we're going to use the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I've got a chart that I made for this one so that you can see all of the circles that it cuts. So these are all of the circles for the Spotlight on Nature. So you've got 2 large circles. You've got 4 each of 3 designs for this, and this is what they look like. We're going to be using this largest one right here. Okay, and I've already cut that out in Bubble Bath, so I can move those out of the way. And the 3D embossing folder, I've already embossed a piece of the Country Woods paper. Again, this is 4 by 5 1/4, and you really can't see unless you tip this. You really can't see the texture, but you certainly can feel it. So again, that's a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the Country Woods. And then we've got a 2.5 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of Bubble Bath. Our card base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the center at 4 1/4, and we're going to cut this. Okay. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to cut off 1.5 inches off of the front. Okay. So I'm going to put this in here and tip it and cut 1.5 inches off the front of my card base, which is going to leave me with this. Okay. My basic beige does not cut well with the current blade that I have. So then I'm going to take my bone folder, and that's going to bug me. So I'm going to take just a little nail file and take off those paper shavings right there. Okay. So we've got that. And then we're going to take this piece of the DSP, and remember this is 4 by 5 1/4. This, after we cut off the 1.5 inches, leaves us with 2 3/4. So we're going to cut, we're going to be double checking here just to make absolute sure, 2 3/4. Okay, so then I need to cut this at 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it this direction, and I'm going to cut it at 2.5 inches. 2.5. Okay. And now I've got my 2 pieces. And I'm going to add this piece to the front of my card. And I'm going to use liquid glue for that because that's my preferred glue when I'm using 3D embossing folders. Okay, and I'm going to make sure I get pretty close to the edge there on all 4 sides. And then I'm going to center this in here. Give it a good rub. And then I'm going to take this piece, which is 1.25 inches, and I'm going to add it to the inside of my card. And it might look like I'm using a lot of glue, but I'm really not. It's just a real thin bead. Okay. Make sure my patterns match up. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to close this to make sure that I've got these pretty well lined up. And then I'm going to give that a press. Okay. Now this is for the inside of my card here. And I need to clean this stamp from the light of navy. Okay. I'm going to take some bubble bath ink. And stamp one on each side and then the center. And then I'll fill in between. Okay. That's going to be the design for the inside of my card. And again, this piece was 2.5 by 5.25. And I'm going to take this and butt this up. Well, it's supposed to be by 5.25. Hang on. Oh, and I already put this stuff on there. Okay. If you have this trouble, I keep a hold of my little Stampin' Dimensional backs, a few, just for occasions like this. And then I can just put that on there. And then I can cut that off at 5.25. Now I didn't get any adhesive on my trimmer, and I was able to trim it down. Okay, so now I'm just going to slide this up next to here. Okay, and there is the inside of my card. Now we're going to take this piece, and again, I'm going to take that little dot, or that little decorative piece. This time I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. And this one's I find this is a little bit tricky for me because it's real important that you get it flat. I think I want this full strength actually. Okay. Stamping off is just a little too light. And I'm just going to randomly stamp this all over my circle here. Yay, I didn't mess any of those up. And try to have to go back and re-stamp them. I did that a couple of times. Okay, so now this is going to go on to our card base, but we can only put adhesive on part of it. Okay. So we are going to go ahead. Now you, depending on what you wanted to do, you could stamp a sentiment right over the top of this. I have another one picked out, but that's how versatile this can be. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to give myself a little mark here. And I'm not going to put any adhesive past my finger hold there. And then I'm going to put this down on the card, like so. Okay, make sure I don't have any adhesive there because I don't want to glue my cards yet. And then I've already taken, remember we stamped these two images. I've already colored them. I colored them the same way I showed you earlier. This one using Smoky Slate again. And then these colors are Fresh Freesia, Petunia Pop, and Bubble Bath. So we're going to take and add this to our circle, and I'm going to do that with some Stampin' Seal. I'm going to put it over to the left. Okay. And then with my flowers, I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal at the bottom here. Okay. And then I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. So one here, one here. And then I'm going to add this on top of my milk can. Kind of like that. And then I'm going to show you how I made this. So let's grab a little scrap of white here. That's white enough. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to stamp this, but what I originally did, I did the embossing just like I showed you a few minutes ago. But we're going to take this to start with. Actually, we need to cut this out first. So let's take our petunia pop and take our heartfelt sympathy. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to stamp this down. Now, I did this. Remember, I stamped it, and then I used the Versamark, and then I embossed it originally. Okay. So we're going to cut this out with the Unbounded Love. And we're going to take this die here. Actually, I really should show you exactly the way I did this, because I'm going to have you all confused. Okay, so let's put this on and let's start over. Let's just cut one of these, because that's really what we need to do. Just cut it. Just cut it. Okay, then don't take your cut and emboss too far. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take this piece that we've just cut, take some scrap paper, and then take that little thing again, and stamp off, and then on randomly. And I do want this very faint. Okay. And then I would go back and put this on the Stamparatus like I did before. Take the Heartfelt Sympathy and stamp this in here off to the right. Okay. And then, as you can tell, the final product is quite a bit shorter. So we're going to bring back in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and their plates. Okay. And then we're going to line this up. And because this has the little grooves right here, you can line it up fairly easily. Just put that down, get it in that little groove, and slide it, okay, to where you want it. Get yourself a piece of Post-it or washi tape, and then run that back through. Okay, and then you've got this piece you could actually use for something else if you so choose. I'm going to toss it because I don't need it. Excuse me. And then we have our shortened sentiment. Okay, so this now is ready for our card. And I'm just going to take and put this down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. Look, my dimensionals are underneath my card. So don't be thinking that you can't use some die cut because it's too long, because you can almost always fix that. Okay, then we're just going to put that there. Now let's grab our gems here and take your pick tool. And I'm going to use the Berry Burst, even though this is Petunia Pop, because it kind of looks that way. I think they really go very well together. So we're going to put one up here, put one right here, and then I'll put one of the large ones over here. Okay, and there is card number 2. Okay, and let's see, did I pre-do the envelope? Because it's not looking like I did. I don't see where I have that. I don't know what I did with my supply thing. It disappeared. Oh well, it's okay. You guys all know how to make your own little envelopes. Just stamp something on the, no, I did do this one because I did a fancy smancy little thing here. Let's grab this real quick. So I kind of did this, but I don't know where I put that envelope. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this. And again, I took the decorative piece here, and I did the side. And then I went halfway between just to make a decorative edge there. And then you can use any of the images from the stamp set to go ahead and stamp there. When I did mine, I took the little rose one, this one here. And put it on a block. Okay. And then I used the pebble path again, where did I set pebbled path? Anyway, not sure where I set it down. I inked it up, and then I only stamped just the top part of that, so that I just didn't have a full image, and I had very little to color, but yet I still had an image. I still had a pretty piece. And I just do not see what I did with the pebbled path ink. Oh, here it is right in front of me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll just ink that up. Bring that down. And that is what I did for the envelope. And then I didn't have to color that much. Okay? All right, everybody. That's what I have for this week. I'll be back next Tuesday night with another Tuesday Night Live. And if you have something that you would like to see, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can make up if I have the stamp sets. Okay? All right, so here is card number 2, and here is card number 1 that we made tonight. I hope you enjoyed those. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys, I'm so glad you liked those cards. And remember, this particular stamp set can be used for any single occasion just by changing colors and sentiments. Good night. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.